What's up, guys? It's time for Tim Talks. We've got an absolute legend in the cricket world from Australia, batting machine. His name's David Warner, a dear friend, and I cannot wait to share this interview with you. Welcome back to Tim Talks. After talking with a bunch of football legends, I'm going to switch things around and interview an Australian cricket superstar. When he first started playing for Australia, people thought he was a T20 and ODI specialist. He's well and truly proven them wrong, and has been one of the best and most exciting batsmen in the world across all forms of cricket for the last decade. We have a few things in common. We're both born and raised in Sydney, and we've both played for 5 clubs in 5 different countries, including Australia, England, and India. World Cup winner in 2015, 3 times winner of the Allan Border Medal, 7 ODI centuries in a season. I've lost count on how many 4s, 6s, half centuries, hundreds, but for me, you are an Australian icon. If you check out his Instagram page, you'll see that he's also well on his way to becoming a TikTok star. Ladies and gentlemen, David Warner. How are you, buddy?
Good, mate. Thanks for that intro.
Pleasure. It's pretty awesome to watch you, especially so active on social media.
No, it's been good, but the stuff, people see on social media, like joining TikTok was, something that my 5-year-old daughter had seen, and I had no idea what this thing was. And it took me 6 months to then go back and look at it while in isolation and look through a few things. And she kept saying to me, "Dad, we can do this. We can do some of these challenges or whatever they are." And I had no idea. So, first up, why not try a difficult task and, do a Tones and I little cover, not even rehearse, nothing. First goes okay, we just post this. I got no idea what to do. And then it sort of started from there. I was like, India's probably, is my sort of area. That's where a lot of my fans are. Great respect for cricket, and not trying to take things away from home, but, it's dance crazy. So I did a dance with the wife on there and the daughters, and it went crazy. And, those are the things that people want. I want to put smiles on people's faces. And if I can take the mickey out of myself, and make people smile, that's what I love about social media. Trying to put smiles on people's faces. You're going to get all these comments of kindness. Then you're always going to get the people who like to hide behind the keyboard and have private accounts. And guess what? You can keep being who you want to be, because at the end of the day, I know what I'm about. I'm trying to be an entertainer, even though I'm not a proper professional TikToker, Instagrammer, Twitterer, whatever you call them. I'm a cricket player. And now I'm just trying to put smiles on people's faces in these unprecedented times.
That's what I love, David, because I've got an 8-year-old boy and my daughter, Sienna, as well. And they're trying to convince me to go on TikTok. I don't have a clue. Yes, on Instagram. Yes, I'm going to YouTube. But you've taken things to a whole different level. So I will get involved. I'm waiting for the challenge and we'll get it on. But there's a lot of inspiration from your family, and it's good that you speak about that, because people that are watching, when you look at what you go through as a player mentally, when social media and all that, you have to look above it, and that's it. You've got your keyboard warriors, but that's for another whole subject. What did it feel like to have the first call up to Australian squad, given you had no first class experience?
Yeah, look, it's a tough one, because every time I answer it, I feel like I'm not giving the same answers all the time, because it's so weird, bizarre. I never opened the batting as well beforehand. I probably had half a dozen times where I opened the batting. It was only by chance that I got to open the batting in a one-day game, and then sort of went back-to-back one-day games for New South Wales, and had a couple of 2020 games for New South Wales. The difference is, for people who don't know what first-class cricket is, that's red ball cricket. So without playing red ball cricket, I was just pigeonholed as a one-day player, so white ball cricket. And, I was happy. I was happy playing that game, and, I just love playing cricket. So, I sort of went out there and just backed myself. You don't know what to feel, and it's hard to tell people what it's like to feel playing in front of 90,000 people, coming from playing the suburban parks in front of 1,100 people. It is so different. And I'm being 100% honest here. There was not one bit of nerves, because there was no pressure on me. No one had seen me. No one knew who I was. And if I went out there and got a duck, guess what? Yeah, I probably wouldn't be who I am, but I'd still be that person trying to be the person where I am today. But I so happened to just relish in that situation, that opportunity, and the rest is history. But the one thing people don't understand is you don't get to where you are today if you don't do your homework. So that's practice. You have to practice 100% commitment and dedication to what you're trying to achieve. If you don't put the time and effort in, guess what? You ain't going to be there.
Yeah, that's going to lead me to my next question, because the mental strength, even for someone like me that was in that world, I was fearless. So it didn't bother me whether I hit the goal or hit rosette. Your highest ever test match score was 335 runs. Walk us through it. How do you maintain that focus for 9 hours and 14 minutes?
I was going to say, do we have 9 hours? Look, it's hard to explain, but I think, I'm still learning the game. I'm still learning how to play the game. I hadn't scored a double hundred until I scored it against New Zealand. That was 3 years ago. And I'd already been playing for about 3.5 years. And you're always saying to yourself, how can I better my next score? What conditions am I facing the next game? I don't think I'd scored 100 with a pink ball at that stage. So to make my first one a triple was even more special. But the hardest thing about concentrating is you've got to focus on little things. For me, I had the wiggles in my head for a good 2 years because of the kids, So there's little things I sing to myself when I'm out there. Between balls, like you try and spot things in the crowd. I always try and find where the girls are sitting. You've got to take your mind away. You've got to compartmentalize each ball. You can't focus each ball. It is not possible. And that's the hardest part about spin bowls. You got probably 10 seconds in between each ball to try and, visualize, what's going to come back at you. But the mental side of it is a lot of practice, a lot of hard work goes into it. Concentrating, I think, facing our fast bowlers in the nets is one. And the other thing as well is I think you need a good hit out at training from a 2 to a 4 hour period, which you generally, I don't know what you guys are like when you're shooting at targets or goals. You got to go away from practice and do your own practice as well. You have to spend time on your own game away from the actual training session to get better and to practice, to get yourself under pressure, to put yourself into mental fatigue. They're very hard things to practice.
Yeah, but do you meditate or do you visualize? Because one thing I did as a player, I visualized scoring. I pretty much knew that I was going to score. I knew something was going to happen. I don't know how. But do you visualize and meditate? Because that was big in my repetition to preparing for games.
Yeah, like I listen to Butterfly quite a bit. I specifically listen to that probably days before I bat. Reason being is that sort of 20 minutes gives me an hour sleep in my mind. And, they're like little techniques that you use. And I think, people talk about they do it every day. I'm not an everyday person, but I do it when I find things are getting a little bit away from me, a little bit challenging. I bring myself back to the center and then start realizing a few deep breaths. It's okay. You try. Hardest thing about, I find in my game is the night before a game, you're automatically playing shots in your sleep. You can't sleep. I'm facing Dale Steyn. I'm facing this guy tomorrow. Hey man, you're facing Mitchell Starc and Patrick Cummins in the nets every day. Why are you worried about these guys? But you do get this sense of like nerves the day before. Game day, forget it. I'm game on, switched on.
See, that's what you're saying, because the mental side of it, I think, is just as important as the physical side. Yes, we're repetition hitting balls and kicking balls, whatever it is. But that's where I want to go to, the mental side. How is it important to teach our kids? We've both got kids, boys and girls. How do you teach them about winning and losing in the garden? Because for me, trying to teach my 8-year-old that it's okay to lose is impossible.
Well, mate, today I learned something on TikTok. You put a jar of their favorite lolly, chocolate or sweet in front of them and teach them patience. If you can teach them patience, they will listen to you. Number one rule is, Dad, you don't know the answers and you're not my coach, you're my dad. Now, they'll listen to their tennis coach or dance teacher without fail, if I try and say, do this, you're not my coach. You're not my dance teacher. So I'm like, okay, well, I have to go and, spend my money, get them lessons at 5 years of age, where I used to get a bat and a ball and throw it against the wall myself because my parents couldn't afford it. But then when I went to training, I was always the one that, wanted to always run around and spend more time there, but everyone was time poor. These days it's how do you get kids off iPads? How do you get kids off these games? And given society's different now, unless you got a big backyard or a big space, I think we were blessed where our parents just let it go outside and we were like street smart. Now I'm reluctant to do that. I would never let my kids go out the front by themselves. So I think times have changed. So we've got to try and work on little techniques. I don't really have the answers, but TikTok taught me patience today with them.
You're the talisman of the Australian cricket team. You pretty much lead the line. So you really put a lot of onus on being accountable. Like you were saying, I didn't really, do too well then. But you did, and you always have done for our country. And that's something that you should be proud of, and that the mental side, because you feel like you're the main leader. You want to be the driving force every time. Is that a prayer? Or is that just a standard?
I think for me, it's more the standard. So, if I can be, that person that sort of, goes out there and, gets under the skin of the players, I'm taking the heat off my team. I'm taking the brunt of the force. Yeah. But that's how I'm competitive. That's how I get into the contest. Times back in the day, these days you've got to be a bit more witty with how you do things. You can rattle off a few stats. And guess what? I'm going to get them thrown back at me, but I want that. I want that contest. I want people communicating with me when I'm out there. So, they're little battles that get you sort of going when you're out in the middle.
I think that's the same thing for me because, I was told you're not going to play in another World Cup. You're probably only playing 2. I went to Brazil. I went to Russia. They're the little bites and the little innuendos that keeps me ticking, continue to play. Who is the most difficult bowler to face now and in the past for you?
Look, I think today, I specifically have to talk about Test cricket. I think the guys like, Stuart Broad in his conditions, Joff Archer with his pace. I haven't faced him out in Australia yet. Kagiso Rabada. These 3 guys, obviously oppositions, 3 key bowlers in world cricket at the moment, up there with Jasprit Bumrah and a guy called Mohammad Shami from India. These guys put the ball on the one spot all the time, and they move the ball. And in the right conditions, you've got to have a very good technique. And I don't have the best technique, but I've got the element to score, to put pressure on them, to play my shots. And if I get a couple away, then adjust their line and length. That's called put to them and not let them dictate. In our conditions in Australia, raw pace and bounce is obviously a challenge. So like when I faced someone like Morne Morker at the Gabba, that was completely different. So what I try to do all the time is go on the attack straight away from ball 1. I was fearless. I didn't care if I walked at him first ball. I didn't care if he tried to bounce me out. I was trying to get on top of him. Some occasions I did, some occasions I didn't. Dale Steyn, man, when I first started, I go back to that first game I ever played. All I ever saw was this guy knock people's toes out for fun, knock their stumps over for fun. I'm facing a guy who bowls 150 kilometers an hour. What do? First ball, I'll walk it in for 6. But I'm not going to stand there and allow him to dictate. It came off. It might not have came off. But then I played a couple of one-day games. He got the better end of me because he did his research. I didn't have a technique. He swung the ball back in. But over time, you work on those things. So, but now today, those guys I mentioned are very, very good. I like talking about Test cricket because one-day cricket and 2020 cricket, it's very. One day you're gonna get on top of them. One day you're not. It's very difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Top 3 highlights of your career. It can be on and off the park.
Yep. I think retaining the Ashes is obviously a big one.
Massive.
I'll just sum up in my career, being a part of an Ashes, I'll just say that's just one big highlight. Obviously, if you take out receiving your bag of green, I think games that I've played in one of my most memorable ones, even I know we lost. Everyone talks about your first 100, and that was the hardest to fathom. Wasn't able to get the guys across the line, but my first 100 in Hobart, second test, meant a lot to me. And I think, we don't talk about personal accolades all the time, but I think when we played South Africa at Cape Town, one of my highlights there was Ryan Harris knocking over Morne Morkel. Test cricket always goes down to the last hour, but it was 3 overs to go, I think. He bowled Morne Morkel, and we won a test series over there and hadn't won there for a long, long time. And to see those guys, the elation on everyone's faces, it's a massive highlight in my career. And it was one series that I was happy to be a part of.
That's awesome. You want to play in the 2023 World Cup when you're 36. I played the World Cup at 38. There's nothing stopping you, especially your experience. Is that something that's a massive goal for you?
Yeah, it's a huge goal. I've always said to myself that if I've still got the passion and drive, I'll play till I'm 50 if I can. But you've got to understand that there's also people coming through, and the legacy you want to leave behind isn't one that you want to talk about. He played too long. He did this. He did that. So, when the time is right, I know that I'll feel that. I've spoken to ex-players who I've played with that are retired, guys that have retired well before I started cricket. The timing will eventually hit you. And, having 3 daughters, and a very, very sporting wife, it's one of those things that's going to be a family decision for me. It's not going to be down to my fitness or anything like that. It'll be time where I come home and I'm just dad. That would be the thing that I look, most forward to make that decision with the family.
When you retire, have you thought about moving into coaching, all this sort of stuff? Have you set yourself up for after cricket?
I'd love to get into sort of 2020 coaching. But I think what you touched on before, mind coaching is a big thing. How do you, and this is even a question to yourself, because how do you teach guys to have our brains where we're calm, we don't care about what people say about us, people are built different. I know my upbringing, even with your upbringing, you got to build resilience somehow. And, that's what we talk about social media, Twitter. What drives me? These negative comments that people want to talk about, they don't realize they're actually driving us. They're making us even stronger. And, all the kind comments that there are, I love reading the comments. I love it. It's the best thing to do because it teaches your mind to not go to the other place. It teaches you to get better.
And that's the thing, what you're saying there. The reason why having guys like you've been at the top, the elite, there's a roller coaster for both of us in our field. I grew up with nothing, very humble beginnings, my drive, my resilience, being fearless. That's the stuff that I want to share. This is the inside brain, because these are the things, whether we go live on Instagram, whether you tell your story like this about what kids can learn because of our children, boys, girls, whatever. I write children's books. I know you write children's books. I know you're heavily involved in all, grassroots or educational stuff. So this is the stuff that I love and really want to push. On a lighter note, who are the pranksters in the changing room?
Me.
Yeah.
I think I'm more annoying than a prankster, but I tell you what, Marnus Labuschagne, he's probably one of the most annoying blokes in the change room. I tell you, James Pattinson, when he's around, he is a ball of energy and he's hilarious. Just his antics. I met a bloke who was walking nude around a change room more than him.
There's always one.
But I remember Darren Lehman, when he was coaching, man, he was telling us a story about someone pranked him. And what he did was he went on, what is it called, Gumtree, and put the bloke's car up there for $900. And the guy was getting that many phone calls. It wasn't funny. And then he would come into our change room, and if you played a prank on him, he would cut your ends of your socks up. He would cut like the ends of your shoelaces, so you got to tie them up. And you're about to go out and play a test match. So you're about to do up your shoelaces, and you're like, what? What? So
I
they're little
think,
things that the boys try and do.
yeah, but I think in a changing room you need that one guy or two. We had 2 or 3 in a changing room, and it takes the pressure off. It takes the focus off the pressures of what you're going to face. Do you play FIFA?
100%.
You play FIFA?
Mate, I haven't played. Oh, you know what? I was gonna say that's a lie. I play whenever I'm away. I'll play with the guys because they bring like Mitchell Stark and Payne and all them. Love it. So
Right.
I get involved. So I automatically get thumb blisters. So me and Smithy, we're hopeless at these things. So we just get on there and start playing, and we have no idea. These guys are doing trick shots back forth, these spin things, and I'm like, boys, just I just want to play the game, all right? Let me have a shot on target. I always feel that they've got like these sporting things on it. And then I go and look at the players. Their players are 100%, and I'm like 75, 85. I'm like, how am I going to beat these guys?
Okay. We're definitely going to get a game on live. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're definitely going to play FIFA soon, and we're going to set up a TikTok challenge. Now, I wouldn't have a clue because you're going to have to introduce it to me. But I want to go in to finish off the interview and do a quick fire round. So we do this with all the personalities, and it's as quick as you can. Because sometimes we've had a few that go on for a while. Phil Neville, Lewis Saha. Okay.
Yeah.
You ready? Insta or TikTok?
Now it's TikTok.
Neighbours or home and away?
Home and away.
Amazon Prime or Netflix?
Netflix.
Ferrari or Lamborghini?
Mate, gelatos every day of the week.
Yes. Sushi or barbecue?
Not barbecue. Sushi, please. That's not food.
Sausage rolls or meat pies?
Oh, 4 and 20, the bit of tomato sauce.
Weights or cardio?
Weights.
Okay. Golf or fishing?
Mate, I can not think of anything more boring than fishing. Please.
Early bird or night owl?
Pre-marriage, night, and then early kids.
I love that one. Xbox or PS4?
I'll have to. PlayStation. I reckon I played half a dozen games on Xbox.
Candice's cooking or takeaway?
If it's potatoes, the cooking, and then Uber Eats.
What's the last thing you watched that made you cry?
All of Britain's Got Talent's golden buzzers on YouTube. They're touching. They're touching. Honestly, there was a kid who was, I think he had Down syndrome, and his mum walked him out, and he was deaf. I don't know. He wasn't deaf. He was blind, and he played the piano. I don't know if you remember.
I've seen it.
Man,
I've seen it with my daughter.
Played the piano, but his voice, he couldn't talk, and then all of a sudden he sings, and I'm like, this is so moving.
I seen it.
It was beautiful.
It was amazing. It was amazing because I was watching it with my daughter. So yes, I'll give you that because that's my daughter's go-to as well. Homeschooling or housework?
No, housework.
All right, that's it for quickfire. That was the quickest quickfire ever. Okay, Dave. To close. Just one message to boys and girls, kids, from you to close it.
Look, I think my message to kids out there is like not to focus on your energy on talent or anything like that. It's about focusing on effort. I think putting in effort with 100% that you do with whatever task it is. I think it's all about trying, getting out of your comfort zone. be the best person you can be. Be the best version of yourself every day. Look in the mirror, tell yourself 3 qualities about yourself, and put a smile on your face and walk out that door a proud person, and keep your head up, and keep committing 100% to everything you do. Whether it's being polite to your parents, being polite to your school teacher, your instructor, your coaches, no matter what. You got to, as I said, be the best version of yourself every single day. It can be challenging. It is difficult, and sometimes you might stuff up, but keep encouraging yourself each day to be the best version of yourself.
Boom, that's a wrap. Love that, DW.
If you enjoyed that video, consider subscribing to FTBL. And if you're not convinced yet, why not take a look at some of these other videos we've made just for you.